voxel generation. Now, you may have heard of this before, but this is a very common technique in game development, and, well, I wanted to do it, so I decided to load up the Godot. Now, the idea of voxel generation is just to make a bunch of little cubes, right? Simple as that. The only problem is the performance. Because, imagine this, right? You're just making a bunch of different cubes, and they're all being rendered sequentially on the CPU, right? For example, take this basic approach. This is a very naive implementation of creating lots of cubes, right? It seems like, I mean, it's a bit laggy. I tried to get it a bit higher than this, but I'm gonna be honest. After 100 by 100 by 100, this world just doesn't, it doesn't actually work all that well. But that's because I'm instancing everything on the CPU. Now, as you can see, it somewhat works. I use simple noise here. And yeah. Now, the problems with this approach that I just showed you before is that it's using the CPU. I think I've already stated this before, right? Now, the CPU is good for a lot of things, but not really too great when it comes to a large amount of processing. Well, yeah, something like that. I think it's something like that. That's the idea. But anyways, the problem is that the instructions are like, they're sequential, okay? So it doesn't do it in parallel unless you specifically tell it to do it in parallel, which for now I haven't, because there's no point, because I could in fact use a GPU. And you can use a GPU with something called a MultiMeshInstance in Godot. And this is really easy, actually. It does run into some problems, however, but for now, it actually works pretty well. Alright then, so I've made a few improvements. Well, only one major improvement, and that's using a multi-mesh instance in a Godot, which is something I just found out from a video. But essentially, what this basically means is that I can render all these cubes on the GPU instead of the CPU without doing any extra work, right? And I mean, this is amazing, right? Because before I was doing it by 100 by 100 by 100, and that was all right for that size. But as soon as I went higher than that, it just took too long to render, and then the game crashed, right? But with this, let's say 400 by 400 by 400, I could probably go higher than this. I don't think I want to go higher than this, though, because this is already big enough for me. And yeah, the only problems I have with this now is that, first of all, there's no collision. I mean, I'm flying around anyway, so collision is not really needed. And also, we could optimize it better, because if you see here, I'm going inside this, and, well, it's rendering everything inside as well. Every single cube inside of this. Is there any way I could just show you properly? Yeah, right there. If I fly inside, yeah. And, well, none of these cubes have collisions, so we need to optimize for that next. Now, the multi-mesh instance is great and all, right? But it can be better because of some issues concerning the fact that, well, you're still duplicating a single cube multiple times over. This time it's being rendered on the GPU, so it's a bit better than the CPU, right? So that takes us on to Optimizations v2, which is essentially just going to be creating an entire mesh. Alright then, so now we've gone the terrain back, and we're using a different method this time. Instead of multi-mesh instance, we're using we're just actually creating a mesh itself. So this is no longer instancing a bunch of different meshes, it's instancing like one full mesh. Well, not exactly. They're all still technically a bunch of different meshes all together, but it's just one mesh in it. Anyways, this allows us to actually fine-tune everything, and you can actually easily add on a collider onto this as well. I haven't done so yet because I'm just flying everywhere anyways. But the one problem we still have with this is that, well, these are all still being rendered. It's easy to see because every single face is coloured differently. But yeah, they're all being rendered simultaneously, which will affect performance when we get onto larger maps. But for now, this is quite good. So I guess it's time to actually optimize this a little bit more. Now, after seeing that, we still have the problem of, well, we're still making a bunch of different cubes, but this time we're actually making it ourselves, making the meshes ourselves, so we can actually fine tune it a bit better than what we could have done with MultiMeshInstance, which leads us on to Optimizations v3, which essentially is, if you're not looking, if you can't actually see a cube or a voxel, then don't render it. It's quite simple, actually. Alright then, so after adding in some extra optimizations, we have this. This is a 500 by 500 by 500 world. It's a lot bigger than before, and it is running fine. It just takes a little time to load up, but that makes sense because it is quite a large world. It's like, I don't know, just over like 25,000 blocks that could be generated in here, I think. Is that right? Yeah, that's about right. Anyways, as you can see, we're hiding all the faces that aren't actually visible to the player, so when we go inside of here, well, we can see that, yeah, it's only the outside blocks that are actually being rendered, which helps that performance immensely once actually playing this. And yeah, now it's just time to actually decrease the size of this and do some extra stuff on it, I guess. Now, with that out of the way, that leads us on to larger worlds, okay? So far we've been going up to like a maximum of 500 by 500 by 500, which is actually way better than what I was doing before, which was 100 by 100 by 100, which barely, that could barely generate on a CPU. So, now that we've got all those optimizations in, we can actually start to achieve some larger worlds. And how you do this typically is by chunking, or making chunks, okay? Or essentially, you have this, you start on this like chunk here, okay? Like take this chunk here. Then, you just generate the chunks around it. See, like so. And typically you do this on multiple different threads, because that would make it way faster. I'll tell you what though, I would show you that I've done the chunks, okay? I'd show you all my great progress, except for the fact that I haven't. I'm not doing this. This project was not originally about voxels. I originally wanted to do like a 1,000 different physics objects, but then I just sort of, I don't even know how I got to this. I just sort of devolved into this. Anyways, I spent way too long on this project, and yeah, this is what I have to show for it. Anyways, see ya.